Oh God, I don't know. I want to keep talking even though we're like an hour in because I want to try to get like an hour and 25 minutes at least.
I'll throw something on the table.
Yeah, alright, it is time for Wheel of Death! That was good. Alright, this is exactly... You hear that? This is exactly what, every time something pops up while we're talking, either on the podcast or out in public, where we're talking, and we just, we just have ideas.
Sure.
For, either, typically I like to use these, I wanted to use these to start the podcast, because sometimes we just kind of come in and wing it.
Yeah.
Still kind of winging it.
Sure.
But I've also just stretched it out to, you know what, just whenever we need to talk about something and we can't really think about it, like we need to segue hard and fast away from a particular topic. All right, on today's Wheel of Death, the options never change. They just either, they do change, but, they either appear or disappear. Okay.
Man.
All right, let's see. We've already talked... we talked about Train to Busan. We've talked Hannibal to death.
Oh, thank you.
I just completely lost my mind. And I don't want to talk about I do want to talk about it, but not to the point where it just becomes repetitive, because I can do that.
No.
We'll beat that show into the ground. All right, let's see. Oh! I want to talk about this mostly for personal reasons.
Yeah.
I have on here proof dragons are real.
Proof dragons are real?
Yes.
You mean actual flying lizards?
Well, just something. I'll get...
No, I think dragon is a metaphor for something.
No. Well, yes, but no. You were talking about...
You don't want to get into...
No. Okay, we chose the topic.
Are dragons real?
All right. This is not some kind of manifesto from a drug den, okay?
Sure.
Okay, in college.
My bitch better have my money.
Oh, yeah. All right, in college.
Right.
In, English 101. First of all, I hated that teacher, first and foremost. Just for if there are any, if at some point in the future there are any really young people that listen to this podcast, and I will say this repeatedly into the future, forever and always. Right. If you have an English teacher who cannot properly explain what a comma splice is,
here we go.
You shut your damn mouth. If you have an English teacher that cannot properly explain what a comma splice is to the point where you understand what they're talking about, you need to get the heck out of there. Look, it's just like having a probability and statistic teacher saying that they suck at the casino. You should not suck at the casino. Okay. What are you talking about?
Okay, I can't disagree with that.
Okay? It's same thing, same concept.
You're right.
All right. It's the same concept.
All right.
So, in this English 101 class at the college I went to, she tried to explain what a comma splice was. I didn't get it. Still didn't get it until my final semester of English.
Right.
Yeah, if they can't properly explain it, Jesus. So we had to do a presentation. We had to pick a topic and do research on said topic because, this is like English 101. She's supposed to teach us how to, cite your sources and all that stuff on a college entry level and all that fun stuff. People were talking about, I want to talk about anxiety. I want to talk about this historical event that happened over here. My galaxy-brained dumbass, my head popped up one morning and I went, are dragons real? And I sent that question to her. And she was curious and said, you know what? Go for it. And I did. I'm not joking when I say, everyone else was really super serious, talking about these hard concepts. One dude was talking about the, Now, the guy that made this presentation was from Lebanon, so keep that in mind. He talked about the volunteering to be in the military versus not volunteering to be in the military. Does that make sense?
Oh,
and he used
volunteering versus being drafted.
No, not being drafted. Being kind of what Israel does.
No, Israel says that if you want to be a citizen,
you have to participate in their military.
You have to do 2 years in the military.
Yes, he basically, the argument was that versus volunteering for the military.
Right,
was what he presented on. That was like a really good presentation, and I support that dude. I hope he's doing well. Me. Because I am insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, dragons.
Wait, did you follow this guy?
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, he's talking about some. Wait a minute.
No, in the presentation, I'm like, dragons.
Okay, for me to say real topics would be to dismiss your perspective, and I apologize for that. He's talking about going to war, and you're talking about
are dragons real?
a bad lunch that J.R. Tolkien once had.
But that was literally my presentation.
Dragons, yo.
Yeah, dragons, yo. You know the dude with the murphed up hair saying aliens? I was like, I'm not saying it was dragons. But it was dragons.
That's awful.
Yeah, this is
so
why
he followed you.
No, I followed him.
Oh.
No. I didn't suck.
Well, I know you didn't suck. I mean,
I just thought it was funny.
Sure. Oh, did you right after him?
Right after him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because he's talking about, he's using examples like, what Israel does and what the U.S. does, and it was basically just a compare and contrast sort of presentation.
My God.
And my dumb ass just wanders up there, and I'm like, Spirited Away. Studio Ghibli. King Arthur. Chinese medicine.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this is why I said last podcast I have problems with reality.
That's all right.
I'm not delusional. I just have questions, and no one wants to answer them for some reason.
There's nothing wrong with making money on that.
All right, so here's the thing. No. I took this.
Monetize the insanity.
Yeah. Oh, new catchphrase. New catchphrase. Monetize.
That's too easy.
The insanity.
There you go.
Yeah, I know how to spell that.
Yay.
All right. No. I
So he literally went and sat down. It was your turn.
Yes. No, I stood up. Everyone had to stand up.
Right.
Yeah, because, presentation, public speaking, because they teach you that.
Dragons.
Yeah. Loosely, that's kind of what happened.
Oh, that's great.
Basically, what I described is I told a little white lie.
Yeah.
Which led into dragons.
Without the whole thing being a story.
Yeah. Basically, what I said initially was, now, in order for my teacher to even allow this to happen, what I did was I said, to present itself was, I saw Spirited Away when I was like 12 or 10. I had to have been like 10 years old, give or take.
Right.
The Studio Ghibli movie is like the greatest animated movie ever or something like that, depending on preference. The little girl that goes to the spirit world, she rides the dragon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the little white lie was that I demanded to be taken to the zoo because I wanted to see some fucking dragons, only to find that they weren't real.
Right.
So basically, the thesis of what I was trying to do was why not only, you know, the thesis, what I was trying to talk about was, were there any dragons as we know them today? Because every single culture on the planet has some form of a dragon mythos, which that was basically my justification, is why do every single culture on the planet have some kind of dragon mythos?
Right.
So, you know, that's how I got my teacher to greenlit it, and I just ran with it.
Yeah.
And I basically, what the whole thing was, I was talking about the possible sources of these myths, you know?
Right.
You know, things from, you know, say, one example I brought up was alligators in the Nile, near the Nile River in Egypt, who are like the biggest crocodile alligator. I can't tell the difference anymore. I used to know the difference, but they were the biggest of that species in the world. And they have this ability to get up on all four of their legs and run at you. Yeah. So, you know, back in the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, you're like, oh, that's a monster. It must be a dragon. It doesn't. Crocodiles and alligators don't breathe fire, but they eat you. Yeah. So that was part of the presentation. I talked about Komodo dragons, because they're called Komodo dragons. How could I not? Right. I talked about, and you know, you start when I bring this up. The theory that at one point humans and dinosaurs existed at the same time period. Don't you talk about it. Well. We don't have enough time. And that's paywall argument.
No, it wouldn't be an argument.
Not paywall podcast. I should stop saying argument, because we're not.
Oral history handed down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could have a beast.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm not here to argue pro.
No. We're not. Yeah, we're not arguing. It's just a paywall podcast.
That image has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, it has to come somewhere. And you, as a child, were taught that dinosaurs and humans existed at the same time, and then decades later they say no.
Parts, but you know.
Yeah. And like the very latter.
And I read something later that talked about. I read this about 20 years ago. Talked about primitive man. Yeah. Kind.
Very primitive.
Finding dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
And then creating a narrative based on that.
I also talked about that as well.
I think that's plausible as well.
Yeah, I brought that up as well. I brought up there was a particular archaeological dig in, I think, China that took place several centuries ago. They didn't know what the hell they just dug up. Of course not. So, you know,
did they actually exist at the same time?
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But my thing was, I was just trying to make an argument of they don't exist the way that movies depict them, like Smaug, Haku from Spirited Away.
In fiction, it's
obviously taken at liberty.
Yeah, but it's more of an allegory.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah,
but in terms of the actual, like, if you're trying to find an animal that it originated, that somehow was around the entire world, or, you know, basically the source. My thing was, I was trying to find the source.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to prove dragons were real per se.
I was trying to find where the myth came from.
I wanted to know what the source.
The original myth.
The source.
Well,
that was my entire argument. And the reason I conjunct that with contrarianism is there was that one dickhead every single presentation. I mean, every single presentation.
Yeah.
Except one, and I'll get to that in a bit. He just would not shut up. Asking questions is fine, okay?
Right.
That's not the problem.
Right.
But he was such a contrarian. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's not real. How can you say this when there's this? You know.
This was a classmate?
This was a classmate.
Okay.
This wasn't the teacher. She was in the back of the class taking notes, you know, doing what she was supposed to be doing. This guy just would not shut up.
Oh,
he would argue with the presentator.
That's a scoffer.
That's a scoffer.
That's something different.
Oh, okay. What is the difference? Just for the listeners' clarification.
No, a scoffer is a very dangerous person. Okay.
What is the difference between a contrarian and a scoffer? Is just for definition.
Scoffer is someone who a contrarian is someone who will disagree with your specific position
for the sake of disagreeing. Okay.
And some of them are what's called a devil's advocate in pop culture, which means they're trying to explore the possibility that there might be a different perspective.
Well, here's the thing: contrarianism has its merits.
There is a certain kind of open-mindedness to it. There's also a certain kind of assholishness,
closed-mindedness to it.
I've been associated with both of those perspectives.
But what is a scoffer?
But a scoffer is someone who, in my opinion, a scoffer is someone who is a pathological narcissist. And it doesn't matter the perspective, it doesn't matter the point of view, the fact that they didn't say it, or they didn't present it, or they didn't originate it being interjected into the situation. And they tear down everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody who is a contrarian will just try to tear down things that they don't agree with. A scoffer tries to tear down everything. Okay. You know, a contrarian may say something like, contrarian would disagree with somebody putting a seatbelt on while sitting in the back seat of a car.
Sure.
Which my understanding is no law that mandates wearing a seatbelt in the back seat. You can or you can't.
Maybe it depends on the state and the area of the world, but ultimately,
the law says if you're in the front seat,
you gotta wear a seatbelt.
You gotta wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
A contrarian would say, well, if you want to wear one in the back seat, that's fine, but there's no law that says you have to.
Yeah.
A scoffer would attack somebody sitting in the front passenger seat about wearing a seatbelt. I mean, this is kind of a reaching
I get it.
Hypothetical situation, but that's just that they're scoffers question everything to the point where actual wisdom is in front of them, and they will tear that down too. It doesn't matter whether it makes sense, or whether it is wisdom, or whether it is foolishness,
or whether it is even true.
Whether it's true, whether it's false. A scoffer
does not care.
Yeah, they will and they see themselves as this paragon of understanding and perspective. But the fact of the matter is that scoffers are very dangerous people. They will get you to question, well, yeah, it's a good idea to wear a seatbelt. You really don't need a seatbelt today. It's not where we're going. It's right down the road. Seatbelt, they really don't save life. No, seatbelt save life. That's a fact.
Okay.
Scoffers attack even the most established wisdom. Scoffers,
and they'll take other people with them.
Yeah, they will.
That's what makes them dangerous.
Because they'll cause you, because they're so they're so they sound so knowledgeable and authoritative.
Yeah.
That you will, and then if you don't, it's definitely one of those people that validate their choices. So if you don't, then their input will become a mocking, you tearing you down. Why aren't you smarter? Why aren't you better? Why don't you understand this the way I do, kind of thing. And it causes people to second. You have to be, I talk about being ash-holish. When you deal with a scoffer, you have to be ash-holish. You just have to be
very
I'm wearing
firm.
A seatbelt and you need to shut the up, okay?
Yeah, you have to be very firm in what you say and what you believe with these guys.
Scoffers are, and I did not realize until I got older. I didn't realize, I don't want to get into too much of there are practical applications of the Bible. And one of the things it warns about on more than one occasion is scoffers. Scoffers are dangerous people.
Well, then it makes me even happier that I basically told this guy, I didn't know he was a scoffer. When he started asking me questions and started saying stupid stuff, I basically looked at him and I said, stop being a contrarian and shut the hell up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
he didn't stop talking after that.
A grade anyway.
Yeah, I'm just up there for a grade. I'm not trying to advertise me for winning the Nobel Peace Prize or anything dumb like that.
Yeah, but scoffers definitely interject themselves into situations and at an intensity level which is just unrealistic. If you get that coming in, exactly, you were talking about it was fiction and you basically understand that it was fiction.
Yeah. Okay,
and then here's this person coming in at you out of left field, and now think about it. Think about it. What if you had been your subject had been something like wearing seatbelts, something more serious, more real world applicable, and they're going to tear that down too. You see, that's what makes them dangerous, because they'll attack anything.
I actually have an example of not that, but there was one person. And I think she did it on purpose. I personally believe she did this on purpose.
Right.
There's one out of literally, there was about 20 or so people in that class. There was only one, including him.
Right.
There was only one person during that presentation period that he did not say a word. And it wasn't because he believed in it or anything like that. I think it was because somewhere in his spirit, he knew better, because he understood the repercussions if he started tearing this subject down at the particular time frame. Sure. And I don't want to get into the details. Sure. I don't want to discuss the generals either.
Right.
There was one presentation. She was like the second to last one. She was the last one. Her topic was on the statistical possibility of being born gay. He said nothing. Nobody asked her questions.
Interesting.
Nobody said a word, because we go back to the whole power for power's sake. Right. Say the wrong thing, and you're out of the group, or so to speak.
Right.
And he was, I guess he was a narcissist, because that was the only subject he wouldn't touch, because it would probably ruin his image. How dare you question
Either that or he was gay.
I don't know. That part's neither here nor...
two reasons.
That part's neither here nor there for me.
He doesn't sound smart enough to understand they'd probably need to leave that subject alone.
Everybody left that subject alone.
He attacked everything that came out, and then all of a sudden, bang, one subject came out, and he left it alone. Probably too close for comfort.
Probably.
Because I doubt he was smart enough to understand how big of a deal that would have became if he would have
exactly.
challenged it.
That is exactly why I think he didn't say anything. Because I asked questions too of people, because you're supposed to ask questions.
I don't care.
Yeah, but that was the one subject where I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. Not worth my time. No. Like, I don't have enough information to disagree, but I also don't have enough information to agree. So I'm just going to leave it alone.
Right. And there, you're not really...
And I don't lose anything.
Truly, when you're in a situation like that, like a speech class, you're not really there to critique the subject anyway.
No, not really.
It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about your presentation of it.
Yes.
Okay, just like you talked about dragons. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, because I'm coked out of my mind. I wasn't taking drugs. I just pretend to be.
you know, you need to talk about it, and this people take themselves way too seriously in these type of situations. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then a lot of people don't understand that how you can take the most benign thing in the world, but under the right presentation, you can turn it into something spectacular.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Things that are legit don't need to be sold. They sell themselves.
Yes, like water.
Yeah, exactly. Like water and oxygen. But you can take some of the most benign stuff and fluff it up really well and really sell it. So
yeah.
It wasn't about what you were talking about. It was about
the fact that I was talking about.
And here's the thing: you had a person stand up like this individual that you're talking about, and challenging you on the subject of what it is you're talking about, when the class isn't about the subject.
Well, it was an English 101 class, but
per se.
Yeah, per se, but still, no, it just really ticked me off. You know. Yeah, During college, I did not take myself seriously at all,
and that's okay.